Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about a conversation that I recently saw on the Whatever podcast. The Whatever podcast is just the same as every other 40-year-old male podcast, where it's a guy or two guys or three guys, and they get a bunch of OnlyFans models on, usually women, and then they always ask them the same questions. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your ideal man? What do you bring to the table in a relationship? Why do you do OnlyFans? It's all the same NPC dialogues in all of these podcasts. I'm going to be honest, I don't really get these podcasts. I don't know why these 30, 40-year-old guys really care about what these 20-year-old women are doing with their life. I don't know why they care, but each to their own, I suppose. Now, I wouldn't usually talk about these podcasts because I just feel like it's obvious now that they're just pathetic. But after seeing this video, I feel like this is one I don't have to talk about it, but it's so ridiculous and so pathetic that I felt the need that I should. So I'm not going to show the entire video because it's like 20 minutes long, but it kind of starts after the question's being posed. So it is the question: if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, you can't choose 7, what would you choose? So the video starts after they've gave their answers, but he picks on one girl specifically who rated herself a 10. And I'm not going to spoil any more, but it's just ridiculous what kind of unfolds throughout this 20 minutes. So let me just show you.
Me? So you gave yourself a rating of 10. Mm-hmm. So do you consider yourself the most attractive girl at the table?
I'm like myself. Everybody's beautiful in their own unique way. I'm not gonna.
Women get scared to say that.
Well,
Women get scared to say that.
Well, that's messed up to say.
You're the only girl.
Myself, and I.
You're the only girl who said you were a 10. So are you?
No,
but you gave yourself the highest rating at the table. Do you think you're the most beautiful girl at the table?
No, I think they're all beautiful in different ways than me. Like, I have black hair. Like, you got the beautiful red hair. You got that. Everybody just looks very different.
So I want to jump in here pretty much instantly by saying his new question makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. Just because none of the other girls rate themselves a 10 doesn't mean she thinks she's the best looking person at the table because she did. She might think all the girls at the table are more attractive than her, and she might think they're all 11s, 12s. She's a very confident person. She feels that she's a 10 out of 10, which is fine because I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that would agree. And the question isn't even about what she thinks about her compared to all the other girls at the table. The question is what she thinks about herself and about her looks. She gave herself a 10 out of 10 because he asked her what she thinks she is out of 10. Now, there is a lot of people like Brian here, who is the host, who would say she's delusional. I don't think she's delusional. I just think she's a confident person, and she's clearly confident in the way she looks. She's just doesn't really care what other people think.
Everybody just looks very different.
They're on your level. Then
I think I think they rated themselves very low compared to what they should be.
None of them are more attractive than you, though.
No, I think that they're more attractive in different ways.
More attractive in different ways?
No, well, they all look good. It's just that we all are different people, and beauty is subjective.
She makes a perfect point here. It's like I mentioned, she thinks all the other girls at the table rated themselves lower than what they actually are, so she doesn't think she's the most attractive girl at the table. And she also raises the question on whether or not beauty is subjective. I think it is. By that, she pretty much means, for example, I might find Zendaya attractive, but one of my friends might not. You know, it's that sort of thing. So you can't say, oh, Kim Jenner is the best looking Jenner out of all the Jenners, and then someone comes over and disagrees because they just don't think she's attractive. So this is where I'm going to skip through some of the video because most of it is just back and forth on whether or not she's the most attractive girl at the table and why she rated herself a 10. And then it kind of gets into the part where it becomes confusing for me on why he cares so much, because then Brian goes in to start calling her delusional and start saying she's wrong, essentially, when the entire question was based off of opinion. He asked her what she thought she was out of a 10 out of 10, and she rated herself a 10 out of 10. But Brian just can't comprehend why a girl sitting in front of him would rate herself a 10 out of 10 when he doesn't think she is.
And I think it's kind of a little bit disrespectful to call me delusional because I'm addressing the fact that delusional. Most men, not everybody thinks I'm a 10 because, listen, I think I'm a 10 and you asked me what I thought. You didn't ask me what everybody else thinks. And so you're not going to change my opinion of myself by being disrespectful to me. And
well, I don't think it's disrespectful if you're
you do this
actually delusional.
Is a 10 a person who has no room for improvement?
No, I do have room for improvement, but regardless, I still love myself at all times.
That's great.
Now, I do think the other guy with the mustache here kind of raises, on some level, a good point. If she thinks she's a 10 out of 10, then that means she's perfect, right? Which, once again, is fine. If she thinks she's a 10 out of 10 and she thinks she's the perfect woman, then that's fine. But then she's also spoke about getting more procedures done. And he raises the question, well, if you're a 10 out of 10, isn't a 10 out of 10 someone who doesn't have any room for improvement because they're already at their peak, they're already the 10 out of 10? And then, you know, I don't think that's a bad point to make. But once again, why do you care? Why do you care whether or not she thinks she's a 10 out of 10? I just don't understand any of these podcasts.
So, but these procedures are going to improve your looks?
Yes.
So then what number will you be after the procedures?
I will always consider myself a 10. I do what I want with the way I look.
But how can, if it's increasing your physical attractiveness,
bro, you getting all down to these specifics. You want me to say I'm like a 9? I don't care what you say. I really don't care what you think about how I look.
That's fine.
So Brian kind of suckles off what the other guy said on how if she's a 10 out of 10, how can she possibly have improvement? And then she kind of just tells him straight that she doesn't care what he thinks and she doesn't care if he cares. She's always going to rate herself a 10 out of 10 and that's just how it is. And I do think it's pretty humorous, the fact that he says, I don't care what you say, because he does. That's how this whole 20-minute argument started, is because you cared about what she said.
Why are we just like debating her looks?
Yeah, it's kind of like why, like you really, like you can, like listen, you can think I'm not a 10. I don't care. Listen, I don't care, and I really don't care what you think about. But I think it's so crazy to get on a podcast and debate how a woman looks.
I don't. Well, I'll tell you why it's important.
Why?
And let me also
Womp.
Well, why have we
Hold on,
spent 20 minutes, like 15 minutes talking about
No,
this?
I think, girls, I think you're feeling the wrong way.
So all the other girls start to chime in a little bit here, just telling him, Brian, this is quite weird how you've invited her onto your podcast and then you asked her what she thought of her looks, and now that you're not happy with her answer, you've kind of sparked this 10-15 minute debating her looks, which they're correct. It is weird to invite a woman onto your podcast, ask her how she thinks she looks, and when she says 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, debate her because you don't think she is a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Again, I don't know why he cares. So we go on a little bit of downtime here while one of the other girls, the one with the red hair, kind of chimes in and starts talking a little bit. And then it just becomes sad.
You're saying, why are you viewing the point of view, la 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 la, etc., etc. Are you alright?
Well, it's kind of like stressful. You're getting me on a podcast to debate how I look, and I've already said I don't care.
No. We talked about like
can you just
immense
stop talking?
And it's a little bit stressful.
Or what?
And I'm not gonna lie,
Don't
you're
tell
kind of
me
being
to
a
stop
dickhead
talking.
right now.
What the fuck are
Can
you?
you give her some tissue paper, please?
Yeah,
I'm
go
good.
get it then.
I'm
Jesus
good,
Christ.
but it's a little bit overwhelming having a full table of people. You do social media, and I do social media. I'm on live every day doing all my social media, but it's overwhelming.
So she starts crying because the entire situation is overwhelming. You know, when she gets asked how attractive she is, and then a guy debates her on how attractive she is at a group full of people, or at a table full of people. And it's just sad because he's clearly got to her, which is what he was trying to do, and he's clearly kind of downgraded her to the point where she's actually crying. So it's just a really sad thing. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this debate they had in specific, just because I thought it was really cringe and really unnecessary how he asked a woman about her opinion on her own looks, and then when he didn't get an answer he debated her on the fact on why he doesn't think she's a 10, which she acknowledged many times throughout the debate. She acknowledged that not every single person is going to think she's a 10, but that wasn't the question. The question, once again, was, what do you think you are on a scale of 1 to 10? And she said 10. That's where it should have ended, in my opinion, but he decided to go on this lengthy argument on why he disagrees. Anyway, that's it from me now. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.